As we can clearly see, the world is in dire need of integral theory, and yet it hasn't really taken off. And I'd like to discuss a few of the reasons why I think it actually hasn't taken off. I think one of the main reasons is when you talk to people about integral theory, um, they often find it cultish. It's a bit like a cult. It's especially if you talk about spiral dynamics. I know that's not uh, of Ken Wilber's creation, but it does integrate into integral theory. And that's usually spiral dynamics is usually the thing that comes up when you're talking about culture and politics, which is obviously a bit in the news. And I think there's many reasons for this. I think one of the reason is that uh, some people like Wilbur in the past, more than the present, he's been very good in the last decade, as far as I know. But when your mind opens up to a certain extent, Terence McKenna talked about this, and he was a bit of a victim of it. He was a victim of his own thought. But if your mind opens up to a certain extent, you can let the wind whistle between your ears, or whistle between your ears, as he would say. And the thing about that is you allow all sorts of strange ideas to accumulate, and mixed in with the genius, you can get kookiness and downright quackery, and no one wants to be associated with quackery. So when you're talking about integral theory, you have to caveat constantly, like, yes, if you read A Brief History of Everything by Ken Wilber, uh, you're gonna have to ignore the part where he sort of says that birds might not have evolved their wings and there might have been some sort of divine intervention. Yeah, you're just gonna have to kind of pretend he didn't say that and just take the theory in the more fundamental parts. And this is a problem because people have no time for those sorts of things nowadays, and there's very little charity to go around. Um, some of the other reasons, some of the other reasons is obviously, um, I think well, not obviously, but I think there's a hard sell in these things. Usually, the Buddhist sort of revival aspect is amped up a little bit too much. A lot of this meditation stuff, it's very important to a lot of people, and that's fine. But to a lot of people, they don't get it, and they're never going to get it. They're probably never going to get it, and that's not really the. You can't start from whatever you want to say, some high level, enlightened, whatever you want to call it. That's not going to work. You're just going to sound like a jerk. Um, uh, and that kind of neo-Buddhist aspect is too religious-y for a lot of people. Um, I'll be honest, it's difficult for me to quite wrap my head around. But this theory, the the world is crying out for some clarity about where we're at, why people are talking past one another and not able to really see eye to eye. And so we need this really bad, but it just hasn't connected in the minds of the intelligentsia either. You'd expect someone like Eric Weinstein to sort of see its merit, but even he, in a few passing comments he's made, he's like, huh, Ken Wilber and all. It is seen as a bit far afield, and there's the element of strangeness about this. So I'm not entirely sure why, but these are just some of the reasons why. And yeah, maybe I'll have more thoughts. But what are your thoughts about this? I'd love to hear. And peace.